This conference will now be recorded.
So we talked about different points from unity testing in the development until go live. We also understood what is going to happen on your go live and what exactly you will do on go live date. So we discussed that on go live date, there will be a first transaction posting in the production system, which is the sale transaction. Now, let us try to understand certain different points, which I will say the process flow of SAP FICO in any client or organization. What is the process flow that is followed or that is normally used in any organization or in any client? Whatever we talk, we will not be talking in general, we will be talking with respect to SAP FICO only. Okay, most of the points that I will be talking, most of the points that we will be discussing, everything is with respect to SAP FICO. Generalized content I will be talking or I will be explaining towards the end. Now, whatever we are learning, whatever we have to know, whatever we must understand is with respect to our role and responsibility at the beginning. Whatever you do as a FICO consultant, first we should know about it. Later on, we will add additional information related to generic content, because nobody is interested on your generic knowledge on SAP, but everybody wants you to be familiar with your role. Tomorrow, I am going to take you as a FICO consultant. I want you to be familiar with what you will be working, what exactly your role to play in any organization or in any project as a FICO consultant. Those points is what we will be majorly focusing on. Let's say first one, client decides to switch to SAP. First one, what will any client, when we are talking about a client, we are representing any organization. Okay, when I'm talking about a client, I am representing an organization. When your client decides to switch to SAP, what they do, they normally identify the partner to implement SAP. So they will identify the partner who can implement the SAP, because as we know, SAP is not a ready to use application. Whenever you purchase SAP, you need to install the SAP according to your business requirement. For installing this SAP according to your business requirement, you need SAP partner. When we talk about SAP partner, there are different consulting companies who will provide the SAP services, like who will install the SAP, who will provide the support for your SAP. Let's say you identified a partner. There are different ways to identify a partner. You will ask for the quotations from different companies. They will come and study or have a initial walkthrough about your business process. They will come up with a quotation. They say that we will implement your SAP within 1 year. This is the amount that we are going to charge, and these are the prerequisites, these are the deliverables that we will be doing, these are the benefits, advantages that we are providing. Considering all the factors, let's say the client has decided one organizations and they are implementing SAP. Now here comes your actual point. So first one is your SAP implementation. First thing that will happen is you will be implementing SAP. Once SAP is implemented, next one is your process stabilization. Why we are talking about process stabilization here is, when SAP is implemented for the first time, users or the client are not happy with it. When I say users and the client is not happy with it, because everybody is new to SAP. SAP is not a user friendly application. Those who worked on any other application, let's say legacy system, let it be Oracle, Tally, JD Edwards, whatever it is, there may be lot of user friendly interaction with the system and all, and you may not be working so many steps, or you may not be spending a lot of time to record a transaction, you may not be struggling to extract any report. But when it comes to SAP, it is the other way around. It is tightly integrated and it has got a lot of security features. If you do not want somebody to view anything on system, you can restrict that person. Whatever he is authorized to view, only that information will be viewed, which means using the roles and authorizations, you can control the unwanted data, or you can control the data with the unwanted people or not authorized people. Now users will also feel that whatever they are entering, they cannot just like that enter, because the moment you punch or the moment you record anything in SAP cannot be deleted. There is no option called delete in SAP. Once you record something, once you save something, the only option is reverse. Once you record something in SAP, the only option available is to reverse it or block it, but you cannot delete it. Once the data is recorded in SAP, it will get recorded with your name, the time on which you have recorded, date on which it was recorded, which means it is captured along with your user ID, time, date, everything in the system. Tomorrow you cannot say that I am not aware, I did not do this. This can be easily tracked, so nobody can, you know, bypass the system, or you cannot stop this system control points or checkpoints. Even if you are bypassing this, there will be a log created. Who did this, who bypassed these settings, or who posted these entries in the incorrect way. Later on, user cannot say I am not aware, I don't know how this happened. So you can extract the log, you can show that this is extracted or this is posted by your ID on this particular date at this particular time, which means users will have to be very careful while recording any transaction, because once you do any mistake, cannot be deleted. The moment you are posting, you cannot delete the record from the system. The only option is either to reverse or to block it. Now, when we know these are the certain points, the user will have to be very careful while recording any transaction. Initially, every user will say that I am not happy with SAP. Majoritarily, users especially will tell we are not happy with the system. Now, as a consultant, it is your responsibility to make sure that users will enjoy SAP, or users will feel familiar, comfortable with SAP. For that, they may be asking you different questions. They may be asking you different points. They may simply tell that for everything they will be comparing SAP with their legacy system. In our previous system, this is very simple. Within one click, we will get it. In SAP, see, I need to go here, there. I need to remember the T code. I'm not able to remember the T code. Sometimes it will open, sometimes it will not open. I don't know why this is so complicated and all. Users will tell so many things. You have to listen to it and then tell that this is some other story you need to tell. Convince the user to use the system, because if the users are telling that we are not happy with the system, it is not working, it is not user friendly, our workload is increased, we are spending more time on system to record a transaction, or we are spending more time to pull out or to extract any report, as a consultant you need to step in, explain, convince the benefits of the system, or the shortcut ways to extract the report, or easier ways to post a transaction. As a consultant, it is your responsibility to make sure the users are happy with the system and the process is stabilized. There are no major issues. So whenever you work on any implementation project, whenever you are new to SAP, or whenever you are working for the first project, you will be seeing things in a different way. The way you practice, when you are practicing, you will see things in a different way. But when you're in any project, when you're in any organization, you will find things in a different way. Because it is very common that if you take two organizations who are working on SAP, will not be having the same configuration, or will not be following the same approach. Approach will differ, the process will differ for every two companies. This is quite common. As a consultant, the first quality, the first point that you need to keep in your mind is not all the clients will follow the same business process, not all the companies will implement the SAP in the same process, because everybody has got their own way of implementing system. Every company has got their own business secret. So no two companies you will find it is exactly the same, you will find lot of differences. As a consultant, it is your primary responsibility, it is your primary skill set to adopt to the business process of your client and apply your consulting skill. You cannot say that in my previous project this was configured very easily, but here I don't know why this is configured so complicatedly. They should have done this, they should have done that. We just like that pass the statements, but we do not know the background of it. Right? There are certain people who just like that pass the comments that this is very simple, we can create in this transaction code, it is very easy, but we do not know the background why it is created like this. What was the situation at that time, why it was created. If you really feel that this is difficult, do you have any solution to make it simple? Right? We have to be very, very careful, we have to be very conscious when you're making any statements, when you're talking about anything, especially with your client. Right? You're not supposed to talk negatively about the system, you're not supposed to talk in such a way that the way your SAP is implemented in the incorrect way, unless and until you have a proper solution for it, you have a justification for what you are passing. Please do not talk negatively about the client business process, or do not compare this business process with previous business process. These are the minimum things that everybody will have to remember, because these small points we will not have control, but we will speak out. These kind of mistakes we are not supposed to do it, because these kind of mistakes will cost you a lot. So always remember, when you're talking to a client, you always talk according to the client business process point of view only. Do not compare, in my previous project we did like this. If it is an improvement to your current client, please talk about it, that is accepted. But if you're talking about the previous project, previous process, where you are telling that in the previous project it was good, your client will feel that you are telling me all the points about your previous project, you will be definitely talking about all my business process to some other client. They will tell that your client is openly talking about all the other projects, other information to me. What is the guarantee that he will not reveal our business process, or he will not share our documentation and all with somebody else? So these points will lead to a tricky situation, which we should not do it. So whatever we are responsible for, we have to be limited to that extent only. Anything over and above you are doing, keep it with you, that's it. Do not reveal with anybody that this is what happening, because that is why point number one, when you are working in any organization, most of the people, they do not want to reveal the client name, they do not want to reveal the organization name, because of different reasons. Because of different reasons, they do not want to reveal the organization name, client names. Similarly, when you feel that the data is confidential, you have to maintain that confidentiality, especially when you're working as a consultant. You will be working on multiple clients at a time. Make sure that you are not comparing the clients, and you are not talking negatively about any particular client. This is one of the requirement, one of the point that you should keep in your mind. Next one, first point we are writing as SAP implementation. Any client, what they will do, first they will implement SAP. After that, they will work on process stabilization. After process stabilization, next one, process improvement. Process improvement. These are the three stages that you need to remember, which happens in every client. First thing, what you will do, you will be implementing SAP. When you are implementing SAP, you are going to take the business process. Here you are going to take the business process. When you're taking business process, here we will be talking about different businesses where your client is working on. Let's say GL, AP, AR, asset, payments, receipts, banking, integrations and all. About each and every business process, you would have discussed with your client, you would have made the configuration document, testing, everything is completed, your project has gone live. Once the project has gone live, initially there will be a lot of issues, users are not okay with the system. It is time taking for your users, for your client to adopt the new system. Right, the moment you get into the new system, you go live with SAP, we will find a lot of negative comments, or you will find a lot of negativity from the users, especially stating that this is not user friendly, it is taking a lot of time, my productivity is decreased, or the training is not sufficient, we are getting confused, or the the user manual is not available. When we are facing any problem, we are not getting solutions immediately. You will get a lot of issues like this, especially for any new project. This is quite common in any project, in any client initially. Once the project is completed, what you are going to do, your first focus is on process stabilization. When we talk about process stabilization, you will be taking different business processes. Let's say master data. Initially, when master records are created, there may be certain points that you will feel that okay, these points or these fields are mandatory in the master record, but currently these are not mandatory. Users are able to create the master record without having certain checkpoints. There are no control points, so masters are getting created in the incorrect way, which is resulting inconsistency in the transaction, or in my reporting I am facing certain problems. These things initially when you go live, it is not possible for you to understand, because you will be understanding the business process in a short time, and you're configuring, you're testing, you're going live in a limited time duration. Once the project is completed, when you're starting to use the SAP system, that is where you are going to identify the different small minor issues, control points. These control points, this minor small fine tuning issues will be identified by your user when they're creating the masters. If it is related to master data, they will realize that where do I update this master, because that is where the client is actually using the system. When they're actually using the system, they will realize, okay, I want to update this information, where should I capture this information? I do not find any relevant field for it. They will send an email to you as a FICO consultant. Dear SAP FICO consultant, we would like to update this XYZ number of a vendor or GL account or customer account in the master, but we do not find any relevant field for it, please advise. Then as a FICO consultant, you will check what master they are creating, what information they would like to capture it. Now you need to pay attention on what master they are creating. Let's say they are creating vendor master. Now in vendor master, they wanted to update something like contact number or email ID or something. Now where should you maintain this? You cannot just like that say you can update anywhere, it is fine. But tomorrow they may be asking that I wanted to pull a report of my vendor master wherein this particular information should be part of it. Now you must think whether this particular field that you are suggesting your user to capture the information, will it be part of any report? If yes, in which report it is coming? If not, how will you add this particular field to a report? So you have to think from the business point of view to understand why they are asking these questions and how do you accommodate these requirements. Because initially there will be issues to stabilize the process. Any project that is gone live in the beginning, the first target is to stabilize the system. When you are stabilizing the system, you are going to face different issues, you are going to face different challenges. So you need to overcome all the issues, you need to overcome all the challenges. Make sure you receive all the questions, issues that are raised by the users. Make a note of it. Wherever possible, you try to resolve it or fix the problems permanently. But we need to make sure whatever the problems or whatever the queries that the users are raising, you make them understand why you have to do like this. Because user will tell, no, I am taking, this is taking a lot of time, these fields are not needed for me, please remove the fields. So easily users will tell you that I don't want to see all these fields, remove it. Why unnecessarily these are coming? We are not using it, please remove it. He does not want to see, he is telling you to remove it. Now if you are going ahead with the user word and then you are going to remove it, you are going to hide the certain fields, then you are at a risk. For any changes that you want to perform on the system, user can only raise the request. User can only raise the request. This request must be approved by somebody else at the client location. When somebody else is approving, and based on that, somebody else from your team, from your consulting, will have to accept it. Only then you as a consultant will be working on it. It is not like that user is telling you something, you go and do whatever user is asking. There is a way, there is a communication system, there is an approval matrix which must be followed for any activity that you are performing as a FICO consultant, whether it is an implementation project or it is in any kind of a project, rollout, support, or migration. User can only raise the request. You need to check if this is a valid request, what kind of a request that it is. Is this something that understanding related? Is this something related to configuration? Is this something related to user discipline? Is this a training gap? Accordingly, you need to resolve it. And in this process, you need to first understand from the business point of view, not from the consulting point of view. If you think from consulting point of view, for everything you will find, no, this is not possible, that is not possible. But the moment you start thinking from business point of view, you will realize, okay, this is important, correct, without which how will I do my reporting? Now somebody is asking me to give the breakup for this. If I pass like this, will I be able to produce this breakup? If not, I will be reaching out to SAP consultant. If not today, tomorrow it will come to you as a big problem. So it is always recommended you see it from the business point of view. This is mandatory, especially for the SAP FICO module, because at the end of the day, we are supposed to produce the reporting, MIS reporting or the financial reporting. When you prepare the monthly reports like trial balance, P&L, balance sheet, people will be asking you different queries. Let's say your MIS team or your finance team may be receiving queries from different departments or different divisions or different people. What is the breakup of this? Why this is posted to my department, or why this is hitting my cost center, profit center? For these kind of questions, if somebody who is working on the finance team as a user, if they are unable to answer, if they do not know the breakup why this is coming, or they wanted to segregate the data, they want to make a report for which they need certain information, how do I get this data, from where I can get this information? They will straight away reach out to you as a FICO consultant. You cannot say that I am a FICO consultant, I am not responsible for end user activity. There are people who think like this, which you are not supposed to think. Anything that is related to end user area, you must be aware of it, because if you are not aware of end user area, you cannot be called as a consultant. You are called as consultant because you have end user knowledge plus consulting knowledge. End user will have only the end user knowledge, but as a consultant you are going to hold the knowledge of consultant plus knowledge of end user. If we are not having the knowledge of end user, what they are doing, why they are doing, what is the business process, what is the requirement, only when you understand this from the business point of view, it is easy for us to understand the problem and it is easy for us to provide a solution. Now during your process stabilization stage, you are going to face different issues, different queries and all from your client. Once the process is stabilized, let's say here you will get different issues, queries, like that you will get. Once you resolve different issues, different queries, let's say that the process is stabilized. When I'm talking about process stabilization, you are able to run the end-to-end process without any problem. That is what I mean to say process stabilization. Let's say I am creating something, but in between I'm getting some authorization errors or different scenarios I'm not able to include. These points are process stabilization related problems. These are common in every project, whatever you go live with. No exceptions to this. Most of the projects will have this initial time, because it will take approximately 3 months, 6 months, in some organizations 1 year also, to stabilize the process. First thing is to stabilize the process, in short, to stabilize this SAP system. Once the system is stabilized, what will happen? Your regular day-to-day business processes will work fine in SAP. You will have all the things available in the system. Let's say whatever the masters you are creating, you are able to create without any problem. You are able to extract the master related reports according to your requirement. Next one, you are able to record all the transactions, in short all your business transactions, without any problems, and you are able to generate reports which will meet your reporting requirement on a monthly basis. Which means for you to record the daily transactions, for you to perform daily reporting, monthly reporting, if there are no major issues, if there are no major challenges, That is where you're calling as you're stabilizing the system, so that without much issues, without much dependencies, you are able to generate the reporting from the SAP system. Initially, this will be a little tricky. There will be a lot of issues, challenges in every project. Let's say over a period of time, maybe 3 months or 6 months, 1 year, the process is stabilized. Once the process is stabilized, it's all about improvements. Once the process is stabilized, it is all about improvement. When you're talking about improvement, you have to take each and every process. Let's say I will take a process related to master data. I am creating a GL master. Now, when I'm creating a GL master, let's say I am taking around 2 minutes for creating every GL master. Every time when I create a new GL master, we are spending around 2 minutes. Can we improve this GL master creation? Is there any way that I can reduce the time so that my productivity increases? Instead of 3 users, I can use with, or I can work with 2 users. Or if the 3 users, instead of working dedicatedly on this master data, I can use their time in the other activities. So I can improve my productivity. Or is there any way that I can automate this GL master creation? Like I will fill up a template, or the moment the request comes, system should automatically create a GL account. Something like this, you need to think from each and every business process point of view, what improvements you can suggest to the client, how you can make process work even more simple. Whatever the way it is working, how can you make it even more simple to make sure that the client is happy and they will see the business benefit. When we talk about the business benefit, you are talking about your client is saying monetary benefit in terms of the process improvement. You are doing something, but there is no monetary benefit. Your client will tell, but I'm not seeing any monetary benefit with this. Monetary benefit, which means you have automated something through which, instead of, let's say, taking 1 week, you are able to do this activity in 3 days. So 3 days efforts, manual efforts, you have reduced. So that is how they are going to calculate, they are going to count that I have reduced my 3 labor hours or 3 manual work hours for a particular process. In order to achieve this, first we need to understand existing business process of any particular client where you are working. I'm repeating again, you are not supposed to compare the standard business process. You should always compare, you should always compare the existing client business process with your SAP process. What is the current client business process and how it is mapped in the system, how you can improve it further, whether it is in terms of time reduction, effort reduction, or you are able to automate it. These points you need to work when you're working as a FICO consultant. First point, you will be working on implementation, wherein you are going to understand the initial or basic business process. Based on that, you are going to go live. You will hand over the system to the client. Initially, there will be problems, issues. These problems, issues will be sorted out during the process stabilization stage. Once your process is stabilized, you will have to work on improvement areas. How you are going to improve your system? For working on improvement areas, we need to make sure you understand the existing business process. Based on the existing business process, you will be able to understand, or you will be able to suggest these are the areas where we can improve the system, or I can do certain things wherein user will not have to feed in the data manually. He can upload, or I will automate it. Instead of entering data in 3 different screens, you can enter data in a single screen. Something like that you need to propose. And there may be different processes which your client is using, but for these processes there may be a different functionality in SAP which may not be implemented, which may not be configured. Let's say you're talking about bad debts. Every company will have something called bad debts or doubtful debts. Let's say your client is calculating doubtful debts or bad debts manually, and they are posting into the system as part of month-end reconciliations or as part of financial closing. You may say that currently you are processing doubtful debt provisions or bad debt provisions manually, but there is a process, there is a functionality in SAP through which we can calculate and then post the entries related to doubtful or bad debts automatically. So just with one click, within 5 minutes, system will automatically calculate. It will give the output. You can reconcile it. If you're fine, you can click on post. This process your client may be currently using manually. They may be spending 1 or 2 days for reconciling or preparing a report. Similarly, they may be working on something called the exchange loss gain calculation, let's say foreign currency valuation or foreign currency translation. Now you may also say that here also there is another process wherein system automatically calculates how much loss gain you are making. You have different control points here. If you do not want to calculate loss gain on any selected GL accounts, you can include or exclude them. So you have different exceptions to handle the different business requirements. These points, whether we are able to understand, whether we are able to talk, communicate with the client, these processes we need to be working, we need to be checking at the stage of your improvement. When you're at the process improvement stage, these points you will have to talk. Now for us to talk about these points first, the basic fundamental is to understand the business process, because it is not possible to start working on SAP, especially on FICO, without understanding the business process. End of the day, your FICO is validated, your FICO is verified with reporting. If report is coming out fine, if the numbers are okay in the reporting, everybody will tell, okay, my system is working fine. If report is not working fine, numbers are not okay, they will simply tell that system is not working fine. In our previous system, we used to get everything very nicely, but in SAP, things are not working fine. What people will do here, majority, they may say that if there were any loopholes in the existing system, they will try to say that in my previous system, we had a good solution for it. We were not facing any problem. But after coming into SAP, there are certain processes for which there are no solution. So we are working with SAP team to find a best solution for it. So these kind of things are also possible, especially from the finance point of view, because from the finance point of view, from the FICO point of view, it is all related to financial transactions, reporting at the end of the day. If your reporting is fine, everything is fine. If there are any queries, questions raised from the reporting, if they are able to resolve within the organization, from the client point of view, it is okay. If not, they will reach out to the functional consultant, in short, a FICO consultant, asking, our CFO is asking for this report, or management wants to see this detailed data or this report. Please tell us how can we prepare this report, if there is any report available in the system for us to generate and provide to the management. First of all, we need to understand what is that report which they are talking about. If you understand that report, then you need to see, is there any transaction, is there any standard report for it? If yes, what is the T code, how this will work? Is this standard transaction, or is this a standard report going to meet your client requirement? If it is not fine, if you simply identify, please use this transaction code, and then you can get the report, your client will not be okay with it. They will come back and stating that we are not getting this information here, we need to get this additional data also. Please give if there is any other report. Now again you are searching in Google or somewhere, you are giving please try this transaction code, again that is not going to work. The right approach that you need to follow is get into a call with the client user, understand what exactly they are trying to do. If they are preparing a report, try to understand what kind of report it is, how they are preparing, what information they require for it. Once you understand this basic information, then you need to check in the system if there are any standard reports which are available to meet this requirement. If yes, you run that report from your side because you understood what they are looking for. Check if that information is available from this report or not. If yes, tell them to use this report. If not, you need to identify what is the report which is closely matching with their requirement. What is the report which is closely matching with their requirement? If there is no report which is not matching with this requirement, the next point is take a report which is closely matching with this requirement, or majoritarily their requested data is available in a particular report. From this report, you show them this is the available report, or this is the standard report in SAP. Look at this report, tell me what additional information is missing, what additional information you need from this report. They will tell that, okay, this information is fine, but we need to add 3 more informations in it. Take those 3 more informations and see how you can accommodate the remaining information into the same report. Understand how you can bring the remaining information into the same report. For this, what you need to do, you need to again work on the system. This is not related to configuration. Nowhere configuration is coming into picture. Everything is related to your understanding. Whether you are able to understand what your client is talking, and that understanding, whether you are able to map it or match it with your SAP knowledge, your SAP understanding, that is where you are playing the consulting role. So you need to make sure you understand their business process and you understand the SAP business process, and then you are matching their business process with SAP business process. Wherever there are gaps, either convince your client to use the way that SAP works, or according to the client requirement, make certain modifications in the system. The modifications that you make in the system are nothing but customizations. Now these points you have to remember. When you're remembering all these points, you have to keep these 3 processes in your mind. First, you will be doing implementation, later on process stabilization, later on process improvement. Because especially these 2 points you will be working during implementation. Once the system is stabilized, you are going to work on process improvement. If everything is working fine, every day your client is using the same thing, but they want to make most of it from the SAP. They say that SAP can do a lot of things, but we feel that we are not utilizing the system to the best that we can do it. Please review our existing business processes and understand if there are any gaps or any areas that we can improve to improve the productivity. So these points you will have to work on, especially when you're working on support projects. These kind of assignments you will be getting. Your activity is only to make sure that you will understand the existing business process. You will propose a solution which will improve the business process. Okay, this is one point that you need to remember. Next point is clearly understanding of reporting requirement. Next one is understanding of reporting requirement. What is this understanding of reporting requirement is? We are working on SAP FICO. All right, SAP FICO is all about accounting. You're working on SAP FICO as a consultant. As a consultant, if you're working on SAP FICO, you will be directly or indirectly dealing with accounting. Accounting is all about reports. Accounting is all about reporting. At the end of the month, you need to produce or you need to prepare different kind of reports to make sure that your accounting is closed. If the reports are not finalized, your accounting cannot be closed. If your accounting is not closed, then there is some inconsistency, because there will be strict deadlines for every organization on a monthly basis to prepare the reporting and submit it to the management or to the different stakeholders or to the external parties like auditing and all. To ensure that this is all working fine, it is again the backtrace. The starting point is your business requirement, ending point is your reporting. You will be playing a role right from the beginning, which is your business requirement, till the last stage where you are able to generate a reporting. This reporting is approved by the management. In between, if there is any mismatch, in between, if there are any problems, as a FICO consultant, you must be in a position to step in, understand the problem, provide a solution. Now, for understanding a problem, for providing a solution, we do not need configuration. For understanding the problem, for providing a solution, we do not require configuration knowledge. You need to understand how they are following this process. In short, the business process. If you are able to understand, if you start putting your efforts to understand the business process, everything else will come automatically. You understand the business requirement, you do not have to sit separately for learning a configuration. Your business process understanding will automatically make you sit and configure it, because you know what is your requirement. you will automatically sit on the system, do different configuration settings, experiment in a different way to meet the requirement. And when you're posting or when you're doing anything, next thing you should automatically go and show this to the client. It is like once you start play button, you cannot stop it. It will get stopped only when it reaches the last stage, which is a reporting. But you just need to start. Automatically you will move. You will automatically rotate around SAP FICO if you start moving. But if you're not moving, if you're sitting only at the config stage, config is not the starting point. If you are sitting at the configuration, we will go nowhere. Config is not a starting point. If you are sitting at the configuration, you will move nowhere. You will stay there only for years together. So what you need to do, your starting point is always business process. I'll put starting point and then I'll put ending point. So starting point is your business requirement. Ending point is your reporting. In between, you are getting something called configuration. Like I'll say via configuration. Now, if your focus is on these green areas, you will be fine. But instead, your focus is on this. Just a sec. Okay, if your focus is on green areas, you will automatically learn everything, even though you're not putting much efforts. Because once you start understanding the business requirement, automatically you will reach the endpoint reporting. But if you are starting from the configuration, which is the middle process, configuration is not the starting point, configuration is also not the ending point. You are at the middle. When you are at the middle, you cannot go left, you cannot go right. You will stuck there only. So that is why do not pay attention, do not pay more focus on configuration. If you know the business requirement, automatically you will reach your target via configuration. This comes automatically if you know the business requirement. If you do not know the business requirement, which configuration you will do, why you will do, on what basis you will do, everything is a question mark here. Your configuration is full of question marks. You wanted to start from the question marks, it's up to you. If you wanted to start from the question marks, it is up to you. But this is practically fact. If you are starting from the config, you will end up having 1,000 question marks in your mind, for which it is very, very difficult to find the answers. Because if you start from this business requirement, for every question mark, you will have the answer. Any question mark that is coming up, your business requirement will answer it. You don't need to ask anybody, you don't need to check with anybody. Automatically you will start realizing, okay, my understanding is wrong. If I want this, this is supposed to be done, this is not working, let me try the other way around. Automatically you will start getting different ideas. If you are going with business requirement, that is the right way that you need to learn SAP FICO. But if we bypass this straight away, if I go to configuration, if I look at the document material, what I am going to do is only the config without any proper reason, without any proper requirement. This will lead to unnecessary confusions, which we do not want to get into. Right? If you're also at the reporting point, let's say you're seeing from the last point, which is my reporting. I'm doing all this. End of the day, what will I do? I am telling you to study, but I'm not telling that at the end there will be no exam. I'll pass everybody. Then who will study? Why they will study? Nobody will study. If I tell that I want you to study, at the end there will be an exam. Whoever passes the exam will go to the next level. Whoever will not pass the exam will study the same thing again another year. Then everybody will sit and study, but at that time what they are studying, they are going to study whatever is going to be asked in the exam. So again there they will bring something called syllabus. Here also same thing you need to follow. The end point in your SAP FICO is your reporting. If your reporting is not in your mind, and if your business requirement, which is the starting point, not in your mind, whatever we are doing, whatever the effort we are putting in is not going to help us practically. Whatever the config you may be learning, that may be helpful to some extent, but not to become a consultant, not to manage your work, not to handle your job in a successful way, wherein you will be confident, you will be comfortable. If you are ignoring these green points, if you are going ahead with this, every day you will have to struggle, every day you will have to be nervous, doubtful, dependent on somebody, which I don't want any of you to get into that kind of a situation. So as we understand, your FICO is all about business requirement until the reporting. As a FICO consultant, do not think that this is all related to end user. As a consultant, I will do only config. Let me write here. Consultant and end user. As a consultant, let me put this. I am writing configuration here, and I will write, or in short, what normally people say, consultant is always SPRO, IMG, end user is always easy access. This is what people remember. But this is wrong way of remembering. This is wrong way of knowing, getting to know about SAP FICO, especially when you want to become a consultant. This is only the part of the role that you are going to play. This is not the consultant, but majoritarily what we will feed in our mind, the moment you talk about consultant will work only on SPRO, IMG screen. On easy access, we don't work in real time. Easy access is completely for end user. But this is wrong approach, this is wrong perception, wrong understanding. End user will know only about end user activity, but as a consultant, you must be aware of end user activity. If I do not know what end user will do, how end user will do, what end user will do at the end, I am not fit to become a consultant. I must cross the level of end user to become a consultant. If I'm saying I only know the configuration, but I do not know the end user areas, you are not going to be a proper consultant even though you become a consultant. Now here, what we normally do, we will be talking about configuration here. And in easy access, you will be talking about master data, transaction data, and then reporting. In the consultant area, we will be working on configuration. In the end user area, end users will be working on master record, transaction data, reporting. Now, as a FICO consultant, to do the configuration, you need business requirement. As a FICO consultant, you are at this level. You are doing configuration because this is what I have listed here. So as a FICO consultant, we are assuming that it is all about configuration. For me to do the configuration, on what basis will I do configuration? Will I do my configuration based on my training material that I learned during my course? Or am I going to Google configuration document and then do it? How do I do my configuration? To do the configuration, you will have 100 sources freely available in the market. You get configuration document, you get configuration videos, notes, material, so many things you will get it. But based on that, what you are going to do and how you are going to do, that's a big question mark. You know how to do the configuration, but what you are going to do there, that's a question mark. What you are going to do on the system is always based on your business requirement. Business requirement is the end user area. When you talk about business requirement, you're talking about end user area. If you do not know the end user area, you are unable to understand the end user area, your consulting area is of no use. Even though you are an expert in configuration, SPRO screen, IMG screen, if you are not good at understanding the end user area, which means master data, transaction data, reporting, you can do nothing with your configuration knowledge. If your configuration is not knowledge is not going to help us, we are not going to clear our interview. Point number one. Point number two, you will not understand anything. Next point. So as a FICO consultant, point number one, we must interact with business users. No option. You cannot say that no, I cannot talk, I am not confident. You type me, you send an email for everything. That is not going to work. There may be an error, there may be an issue. They wanted to explain the problem, they wanted to understand why the error is coming. Now as a FICO consultant, you must get into a call with the business user or your client. Talk to them. When you talk to them, you cannot talk a configuration. When you talk to them, you cannot talk
Uh,
configuration. Even if you talk about configuration,
Ajay,
they will.
Ajay, I,
Yes.
Ajay, I have a question over here. Like when it says like understand the business process, but the thing is like after understanding the business process, is it it's not possible like to go on the job and on the floor, because if somebody is not doing any practice and seeing what Ajay is trying to say, what is the config over there, how you'll because you're saying like 6 to 7 year experience, okay? So definitely the client is thinking, okay, this person is working on the application, So only understand the business process. Is it is it possible to go for the interview, attend the interview? That's my question.
Your starting point is the
That's
business
a,
requirement. The ending
yeah,
point is reporting. To start, you need to
yeah.
understand the business requirement, and to
Hmm.
make sure that yes, my understanding is correct, you need to look at a report. This is
Yeah,
exclusively applicable for SAP FICO because your FICO is all about accounting. Accounting is subject to verification. Verification in terms of reporting. Correct?
yeah.
I am
So
going to say whatever you configured is right or wrong only after looking at my report. If my report is working out fine, I will tell whatever you configured is correct.
but the same time, like my question is like, if any person thinking like, okay, I understand the I understand the business process, without any time working on the application, he not even open the application. He don't even know the S4HANA how it was, how to create the invoice or anything. Is it possible go on the interview and go on the floor and work? That's
To
my
clear your
question.
interview, practically you do not have to work on SAP FICO. If you know certain points
Hmm.
practically and if you're able to talk on those areas, you can clear your interview. But
Yeah.
for you
So the
to
thing,
work
yeah,
on a
work on
project,
the
you
floor.
need to
Hmm.
practice.
Yeah, so that's what happened when I started giving the interview. That time I just did the practice on a ECC, and they starting asking question on the S4 HANA, and that and he said clearly on the interview, I need the person who work on the first day itself on the floor. Means, whatever the errors are coming, I need to be jump in the solve the issue. So that time definitely you need to go with like a practice also. It's not only understand the business process and you just give the interview. That people think actually, but it's in the real time just not reality actually. You need to understand the business process and you need to do the practice like
Correct.
and after that you need to go on do the interview,
Right.
because SAP
Correct.
is not the job just like understand the business process. But the thing like I heard like when I went out to the client location for the interview, he told me like you need to be work on the first day itself on the floor. And that day I realized I need to do the practice. I can't go for the job just without doing practice. I understand the business process, integration and everything, but that day I realized like I need to do the practice on the application, otherwise I can't survive in this industry.
Correct. Now coming to your point, if you want to practice it, now what you are going to practice? You have to practice. You have to configure the
Like
business
for a
processes.
yeah, uh, like now I understand the business process when you're like we're doing practice. So I goes on your videos and trying to understand what you're trying to teach us for the APP, what client is asking the question, and the real time I know I can go and work on the floor on the first day itself. because I'm saying like
Please,
6 or 7 year experience, I can't go there without the practice on the application because I don't know anything on the application. How can I tell end user to solve this issue?
please,
I
can I
need
say
to know
something?
about the application.
Hello.
I need to do the practice. Then I can. Sorry.
Sorry. Hello. So I'm sorry to butt in here. Um, the, this is a generalization that he's talking about regarding the business process. Let's just say 80%, 70%, 80% is heavy on the business process, maybe 20% on the configuration. If you just focus on configuration and you don't know the business process and you go to the interview, you're going to get
I
confused.
never I never
When
said
it's
I said 100% I'm understanding the business process. My second step will be like I need to be work on the application. If I'm not able to work on the application, doesn't means I always said like 100% is the business process. I need to be understand.
and you
But
are right.
you're going for the yeah. If you're going for the job, and the client is telling me you need to be work first day itself on the application on the floor, that time you will
Just
get confused because you
just a
don't know,
minute.
you never did the practice.
1 minute, Arya. Let me put these points on the Excel sheet so that the others also will understand what exactly your intention bringing these points.
Yeah,
Okay. So
because
what?
Ajay,
Yeah, yeah. I got your point. So
I,
let me put these
I
points
tell
here.
you my experience actually in okay. My point is, Ajay, I went for the interview, and that's what I thought. Everybody's thinking like understand the business process and just give the interview. I think like this is not the only thing. Like we need to do the practice parallelly because when you go on the job, you need to work on the system. There nobody will be help you. And I'm saying in US, they're looking for the senior consultant and only team lead. There is no option for the like. Support team or something that you have the time to learn something. There is only thing is I need to solve the issue. I need to understand what end user is trying to tell me what is the client requirement, and I need to be solve that issue. To understand what's the issue, I need to know familiar with the application, what is trying to raise the issue, where I need to how to solve this issue, what is trying to say, and where is the error is coming, is from the side, from the SD side, or from the finance side. And this knowledge you will gain only when you do the practice with the business process. That's
Correct.
what my understanding.
Right. Let me clarify these points so that the others also will understand what exactly she was trying to explain. Now, the
Thank you.
points that I am writing here, first thing that we are writing is business requirement. And after that, we are telling that the last point is a reporting. When you are learning SAP FICO, our intention is to become a FICO consultant. When you are becoming a FICO consultant, you will have to support a client. Your client will be working on their day-to-day business operations. They'll be working on their day-to-day business processes. When they're working on their day-to-day business processes, their day-to-day business operations, there may be different kind of errors, queries, confusions, new requirements coming up on a daily basis or on a frequent basis. Whenever they get any kind of errors, queries, or new requirements, the first point that they will be approaching is SAP FICO consultant, which is us. So when they come to us, they will not be concerned about what is configuration and all. They will be only talking about their business requirement or the problem that they are facing in their process execution. Let's say they are creating a master record. They are facing a problem. They will explain that this is what I am doing. This is what my expectation. These errors I am getting. Or I am recording a transaction. I am capturing a transaction. I am facing this error or this kind of entry I am unable to record, or I am trying to generate a report which is asked by my CFO or the my finance controller or the treasury team is asking for a particular report which I am unable to prepare. Please let me know how do I get this. Now, for us to understand these problems first, before you provide any solution or before you do anything on the system, first point that you need to understand is what is the exact requirement. To understand the exact requirement, first we need to have the basic knowledge about business process. When you talk about basis process of your business knowledge or the basic knowledge of your business process, you mean you have to classify your accounting into different partitions. Let's say In accounting, you have GL, payables, receivables, cash, bank, integrations, taxes, bank reconciliations, different other points. When your user is asking about a particular point or a particular scenario, you need to visualize, okay, he's talking about GL related, he's talking about master data related, he's talking about a particular transaction posting. Once you understand what exactly is the requirement, this requirement will automatically take you to where you need to check, what you need to check, whether this is related to your area or this is related to some other area. These points, which means all these question marks, will get clarified based on your business requirement. If you are not understanding the business requirement, these question marks will remain as question mark. Instead, they keep on increasing, because unless you know the requirement, it is impossible for us to clarify or to provide any answer to the client, to provide any solution to the problem, or to do any configuration unless you are clear with us. If this is not there, whatever you do with your configuration is not going to help us. Whatever configuration you are doing, you are not able to identify, you are unable to come to a conclusion whether what you did is right or wrong. Now that is where I'm talking about these points. I've listed two areas here. One is your consultant area, the other one is end user area. In most common scenarios, most of the people will feel as a consultant, you will be working on SPRO, IMG, which is all related to config. And as the end user, we will be thinking that it is easy access, wherein end user will exclusively work on masters, transactions, and then reports. But right from the beginning, even when you look into, or even when you log into SAP system, keep these points in your mind so that the way you think about SAP FICO is in the right way. Otherwise, what will happen? We will end up getting into a confusion. What I will be doing, what end user will be doing. In short, you are going to understand the business process, business requirement, and you are going to meet this business requirement or accommodate this business requirement in SAP, because you are the one person who will understand the end user area. You are the one person who will take this end user area into SAP. For that to happen, you need to do configuration. For configuration to happen, you need to understand requirement. Now, to do this, as a FICO consultant, point number one, you must interact with the business user. I cannot say that I will not talk to the business user. If you say that I will not talk to the user, first of all, your client will not say that I do not want this consultant who is not ready to talk to us. Because the user would like to explain his problem, user would like to explain his requirement or his pain area where he is struggling with. For that, as a consultant, you have to interact with your user. When you're interacting with the user, you're not going to talk about configuration, you're going to talk about business process. Here, understand business process or requirement. When you understand the business process and when you understand the business requirement, that is where you propose a solution for it. If you are not understanding the business process, it is not possible for us to propose a solution. Now, when you're learning SAP FICO, your FICO learning will begin from understanding business requirement, and then you will travel through configuration. You will reach the final point of reporting. In short, anything that you're working, anything that you're configuring on the system, make sure you are able to verify the reports. You understand how these reports are working. At the end, your accounting is purely based on reporting. If there is no reporting, there is no point of accounting. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So these points, when you know that you will have to interact with the business users, in the similar way, right from the beginning, we have to think about SAP FICO, because none of us would like to become an end user wherein you will be given a user manual or you will be given a SOP document, standard operating procedure, which will contain the step-by-step documentation. Same thing you will have to do every day. This is an end user activity which we are not going to become. Our intention is to become a consultant. As a consultant, point number one, simple point.
మొత్తం నాశనం అయిపోయింది. నా వల్ల ఒక తల్లి బిడ్డ ప్రాణం పోతున్నారు. ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాను, ఎక్కడికి వచ్చాను ఏం అర్థం కావట్లేదు. చుట్టుపక్కల క్యాంపులో దొరుకుతున్నాము. అక్కడేదో వేరే
Muhammad Rafi, can you go on mute? I'll put few points here so that you will easily understand what exactly we're talking about. Let's say I am learning SAP FICO. I am learning SAP FICO and I am practicing SAP FICO. I am configuring SAP FICO. Okay, and I am posting entries in SAP FICO. This is what normally all of us do when we are learning SAP FICO. This is common for everybody. Now, when you are learning SAP FICO, when you are practicing SAP FICO, when you are configuring SAP FICO, when you are posting entries in SAP FICO, and I am generating reports in SAP FICO. When I am doing all these things, at every stage you are going to get questions. At every stage you will get questions. Let's say you are learning SAP FICO, you will have questions like, will I get job in the market? Are there calls in the market currently? Somebody is telling market is very dry now, there are no calls. They're asking these qualifications, they're asking that requirement. You need to have this answer for yourself first, which means it's not only about your learning SAP FICO, you should also put in your efforts to find out the answers for different questions that are striking your mind. Point number 2, when you're practicing SAP FICO, you need to have a question mark. How I am practicing, is the way that I am practicing is right or wrong? With this way, am I able to understand system properly? Am I able to manage my interview? Am I able to manage my daily work? That again, you need to have a question mark for which you should have an answer. The answer that will convince yourself. You don't need to convince the other person. First, try to get convinced yourself with your answers for all these questions. Third one, you are configuring. I am configuring, everything is fine, but on what basis am I configuring? Is this the same way that I will be configuring tomorrow when I'm in a project? Then another question mark. When I'm configuring, I'm getting different errors. Now for any error, I am able to ask my trainer, or I'm able to open YouTube, I'm able to open Google, I'm able to open my material notes. Am I allowed to do the same things when I'm in a project? Now I am practicing for the first time, there are errors. Second time, few errors. Third time when I practice the same thing, no error. So my practice, my configuration is 100% accurate if I practice 3 times. Even if you practice 100 times, 101st time in real time there is a problem, because in real time you are not practicing the same thing. In real time you are not doing the same thing. For every different process, for every different client, for every different organization, the way you handle things will differ. The way you configure, the way you work, the way you talk, the way you document, the way you look at the thing is getting changed from client to client, organization to organization, project to project. Now all these changes you have to adopt and then act accordingly, because you're not practicing in your organization, you're not practicing as a FICO consultant, you're practicing to become a FICO consultant. Once you become a FICO consultant, there is no point of practicing, it's all about performing. So make sure you are able to perform as a FICO consultant. To be able to perform as a FICO consultant, you have to practice during your learning. The way you practice is supposed to help you to perform in a project. For that to happen, in the real environment, you will be working on different business processes. You will be working on different business requirements. These points, if you are able to understand, and if you are able to practice these points during our practice, automatically there is no point that you have to look back, turn back, or you feel that what I am learning is wrong. It's all about consultant, it's all about developing that consultant mindset. It's all about understanding how you have to think as a consultant when there is a problem. As a consultant, if there is no problem, if there is no requirement, there is no work for us. You're working in any support project, when there is a problem, there is a work. No problem, no work. So as a support consultant, you must be working on different problems, different improvements. Now you cannot say that I am working in support project, but my job is going very well, no errors, no issues. Then you are not learning anything, you're not upskilling yourself. Similarly, if you're working on any implementation project, you have to be in a position to understand the business process. You must be in a position to interact with the client, explain the SAP business process to your client, understand what your client is talking about their business process. Make sure you're understanding, you're able to relate it with your SAP FICO. Now, for this to happen, first thing that we need to do is we need to park our configuration knowledge. Because if configuration is coming in between our mindset, so we will be deviated, we will be distracted. Because the moment you hear about some particular topic, this topic related configuration immediately strikes our mind. We feel, yes, I know this. But his requirement may be related to this point, but with that configuration, it will not work. So you need to do something else to meet that requirement. For that something else, you need to understand that process. If this process is not clear, if this process is not understood, we will be struggling. We will be struggling in such a way that even if you ask somebody to help you, they will again ask you what is the requirement. It is all about your requirement only. Your entire SAP FICO is about requirement. Let's say I am working in a project wherein I am stuck somewhere. My client has raised a problem, or there is a problem that I am facing in my project, which I have to resolve by tomorrow or by today itself. Now I tried my level best, but I could not get any solution for it. What I will do, I need to Google it. Now Google cannot read my mind, Google cannot give me a solution. I need to type my problem in the Google, which means I must know what exactly I am looking for, or what is the problem that I am facing. I need to go to Google, I need to type something, which means I need to ask Google. To ask Google, I must know what I want. What I want is my requirement. My requirement, I am representing my client requirement. Similarly, Google could not help me. I want to watch, or I wanted to see if there is any discussion video on this particular point. I will be going into YouTube. So in YouTube also I need to search. YouTube cannot read my mind and provide me a video which I am looking for. Again, to search in YouTube, I need to know what I want. Again, my requirement will come into picture. My requirement, I am representing my client requirement. So here you are indirectly representing the end user, your client, your business process. Forget, you are unable to get it from the Google, you are not able to get it from the YouTube. The next option, that you need to speak out, you need to talk to somebody where you can find a solution, you can find some idea. Let's say you called somebody, or I called you, that I am facing a problem in my project, I need your help. What you are going to add, you also cannot read my mind. What you will ask, you will ask me to tell me what is the problem, where you are stuck, what you did. Again, I need to explain you what is the problem. This problem is my requirement. My requirement is my client requirement again. Similarly, you need to explain why there is a delay in this problem, why you are unable to resolve it. Again, you need to talk to your client or your project manager or your lead, your senior consultant. Again, you need to explain what is the problem, what you did, where you stuck, what you need from me. Everywhere you need to talk about something you called requirement. If you are not able to focus on this requirement, if our learning is not starting from the requirement, our learning is not complete. So it will be incomplete. With this incomplete, we will not achieve what we want to achieve. Our intention is to become a consultant. Our target must be understanding the requirement first. If this requirement is clear, you are able to understand, automatically everything will be in line. Everything follows you automatically. You don't need to think about anything separately. If you just focus on requirement, you will automatically know what to configure, how to configure. If you are facing any problem, you will sit and resolve yourself. Then you will write entries, you will look at the reports, you will try to understand. Then you feel that, okay, what I did is correct because the output is coming fine. Because most of the people, what they do, they post entries left and right, they create masters left and right, they just pull the report, they see output is coming on the screen, it is fine, it is verified by the end user. I am not concerned about this, but end user will verify. If something is going wrong, end user will catch hold of you. End user will tell, Mr. SAP consultant, please come and see what is this. Can you tell me why this is coming like this? Now there you have to sit, whether you like, you do not like, you have to see, understand, drill down, go back to the transaction level. If you're unable to understand what they did, it's all about business process. So at this level is where you will be working tomorrow when you become a FICO consultant. Now, if we know all these points at the beginning, the kind of efforts that we will take, the kind of a preparation that we start is according to these points. Otherwise, what we will be doing, we will be going with our own intention that I will practice like this, I will practice like this. First, if you know what you need to practice, what you will do tomorrow when you become a consultant, accordingly, you can have your own approach. But the intention, the sequence, the process that you need to follow should not be deviated. Like my intention or your intention should be the same. Only then it is possible for us to achieve what I want to achieve and what you want to achieve. End of the day, my target or your target is the same. We both are working to meet your target only, right? You will be getting different kind of a question marks right from the beginning, because normally what others will feel, or what most of the people will feel, that I am learning SAP FICO. During this course I will automatically know everything. After the course I will automatically get the job. This is not reality. Unless we put in our effort, unless we practice a lot, practically we will have to struggle in the market. This is especially because there are a lot of people in the market who learn SAP FICO but who cannot get the job. So these points we will be discussing in the upcoming sessions one by one. As and when the situation comes, we will be talking about different points, and we will also be taking the different people's opinion. We have got people of different backgrounds, so everybody will share their experiences, which will help us what we need to do, how we need to practice, right? So these points we need to remember. In short, the understanding reporting requirement. Now the point why we are talking about is, keep in your mind, you're all learning SAP FICO. SAP FICO is all about accounting. Accounting is complete only when you draft or only when you finalize your reporting. Here, when we talk about reporting, what exactly is the reporting? Reporting in accounting. So there is something called financial reporting, or there is something called monthly reporting, quarterly reporting, yearly reporting. Whatever the reporting you call it as, we normally call it as financial statements. We normally call it as financial statements. In the financial statement, there are three key components, there are three key elements. Point number one is your trial balance. Point number two is your profit and loss statement. Point number three is your balance sheet. So these are the three mandatory reports that will have to be prepared on a monthly basis in every organization, irrespective of the size. If somebody is working on SAP, they want to see the trial balance from SAP, P&L from SAP, balance sheet from SAP. Now, as a FICO consultant, we must know what is trial balance, how this is extracted from SAP, what is P&L, how this is extracted from SAP, what is balance sheet, how this is extracted from SAP. First of all, how SAP will know that this is how my trial balance should look like, and this is how my TB should be drafted or calculated. Similarly, P&L, balance sheet. Now we are all talking about SAP FICO is all about configuration. For trial balance, is there any configuration, or is there a report directly available in SAP? If there is a configuration, what is the configuration? If there is a direct report available, what is that report? How SAP is preparing the trial balance? If I look at the trial balance in SAP, am I able to understand the trial balance first? Similarly, when you look at P&L or when you look at profit and loss statement, how this profit and loss statement look like in SAP? Is this something which is directly coming from SAP, or I need to configure this P&L? If it is coming directly, how SAP knows that this company has got profit or loss? Because to do P&L, to find out profit or loss, we need to prepare accounting. We need to prepare debit, credit, expense, income. How SAP knows that this is income, this is expense, I need to debit this, credit this? So on what logic it is working, we need to know these points. If SAP does not know, you have to tell SAP how to prepare a PNL, how you are going to do it, what config you will do it, and who will tell you that this is how my PNL should come. First of all, on what basis PNL is prepared? Similarly, balance sheet. How balance sheet is prepared? Do we find a debit credit in balance sheet? If you have asset liability, how system knows this is liability, this is asset, I need to add this amount, deduct this amount, consider this? How system will know? If SAP does not know, you have to configure it. On what basis we are configuring this? You're configuring on what basis? First of all, your client is preparing these reports on what basis? Your accounting is always law based. This is a legal requirement. You need to follow the respective local or the legal requirements in order to prepare the financial statement. In short, trial balance, P&L, balance sheet. These are based on something called accounting principles. These are based on accounting principle. First of all, what are these accounting principles? You have accounting principles like IFRS, GAAP, and then you may also call it as accounting standards. Let's say IFRS is your global, GAAP is also global, accounting standards, I would say country specific. When I say country specific, for example, if you take any organization, let me take Honda cars. If I take a car, if I take the company called Honda, you will find cars in Honda. If I talk about Honda cars, let's say Honda cars is operating in India, Honda cars is operating in US, Honda cars is also operating in Singapore, Honda cars is also operating in, let's say, Australia, and I would also say this is operating in Africa. Now, if Honda cars would like to prepare their financial statements, in India, how do they prepare their financial statement? In US, how do they prepare? In Singapore, how do they prepare? In Australia, how do they prepare? In Africa, how do they prepare? They will be preparing the financial statements based on accounting principle. Let's say in India, they have to follow something called Indian Companies Act or Indian Accounting Standards. You can either call it as Indian Accounting Standards or Indian Companies Act. If you are working on USA, you will have to use something called US GAAP. If you are working on Singapore, let's say I will use Singapore accounting standards. If I am working on Australia, maybe I will be using Australian accounting standards. If I am working on Africa, I will say African accounting standards. Now, what is this accounting standard? Accounting standard talks about the local rules or the law and regulation to be followed by each and every organization who are operating in that respective country. For example, any organization, any company who is doing business or who is operating in India must follow the Indian Companies Act or Indian accounting standards to prepare their financial statements. There is no exception for any country for this, any company for this, whether it is a small company or it is a top government organization also. Each and every organization who are legally registered to do business in India must prepare their financial statement on a monthly basis according to Indian accounting standards or Indian Companies Act. This becomes the mandatory reporting requirement for every organization who is working or who are working on India. Similarly, any organization who is working or who is operating in US, whatever the organization is legally registered in US to do their business, must follow US GAAP to prepare their financial statements on a monthly basis or on a quarterly, yearly basis. A company cannot say, no, I don't want to follow US GAAP, I will follow some other GAAP or some other accounting principle of my own. So you will not be authorized to do the business. Your license will be cancelled. Your business will be closed, because this is a mandatory legal requirement to be followed by every organization in that respective country. Similarly, Singapore and all. Now, when you see this, you need to see the reporting from the country point of view. You need to also see the reporting from the company point of view. If I see from the country point of view, let's say, country point of view, and I will also talk about company point of view. From the country point of view, I need to consider the local law of country, because in every country there will be a local law. According to the local law, you need to follow one accounting principle. Accordingly, you need to prepare it. Let's say in India you have Indian accounting standard whatsoever. Similarly, according to company point of view, everything is their organization only. They want to see as a whole. If they are operating in 5 countries, let's say this is corporate reporting, is normally we also call it as group reporting. Sorry. Corporate slash group reporting, or I would say corporate policy, corporate law, I would say. Okay, for every company there is something called corporate law or corporate policy. Based on this, they need to follow. According to country point of view, they may be following different accounting principles based on country. Country point of view, you will be following different accounting principles based on the country. And company point of view, you will be following common accounting principle for all countries. Okay, country point of view, you are going to follow different accounting principle, because your accounting principle is country specific. In India, you have to use Indian accounting standard. In US, you have to use US GAAP. No other exception to it. Nobody is exemption from this. You must follow this. And from company point of view, you are going to follow corporate law, not the local law of the particular country. According to your organization corporate policy or corporate law, you are going to follow common accounting principle for all your countries. When you are following common accounting principle for all, now this becomes your local reporting. This becomes your group reporting. From country point of view, you call it as local reporting. And from corporate point of view, I am calling it as group reporting. We need to understand what is local reporting, what is group reporting. Local reporting is within country. This is within corporate. When you say within corporate, you are representing the overall organization, overall company. Your company may be doing business in multiple countries. Let's say one company is operating in 100 countries. All the 100 countries will form a corporate. So this corporate means the head office or the main office, main branch. Now at that head office, at that headquarter corporate, whatever you have, you are going to have a different accounting policy for it. Similarly, within every country where you are operating, you will be having different accounting policies or different reporting requirement for it. Now, to meet this local reporting, group reporting, you must understand what is this group reporting, what is this local reporting. Now, this group reporting, this local reporting will correspond to 2 points. called ledgers in SAP. There is something called ledgers in SAP. I'm not quoting what exactly it is, because this I will explain in the next session. But before that, I want us to list out certain points so that it is easy for us to discuss in the next session. You are going to have something called ledgers in SAP. And apart from ledgers, you will have something called leading and non-leading ledgers. Leading ledgers, non-leading ledgers will be there. Next one, currencies will be there. Currencies in SAP. Even in currencies, you are going to have local currency and group currency. We must know what is local currency, what is group currency. Next one, financial statement levels. At what level you want to generate your financial statement. These points we must understand before we try to understand about the configuration related to any company in SAP FICO. Without knowing these basic points, we cannot start understanding, or we cannot discuss what exactly is the configuration. If you take any example of any organization, any company, these points must be in our mind. Okay, ledgers, leading, non-leading ledger, currency, local currency, group currency, then financial statement level. We have listed here, when we talk about financial statements, we were talking about trial balance, P&L, balance sheet. In an organization, at what level these are prepared? Are they prepared only at one level, or there will be different levels at which this TB P&L balance sheet is prepared? Once we understand these points, the way you look at a company, the way you look at the baseline configuration is more easier, more practical, more realistic for us to understand. Otherwise, we will find it a difficulty in the upcoming sessions, especially when we start the configuration or when you look at any sources in the market. That is why I said initially, unless we understand, unless I tell that now you are good to go refer anything, do not refer anything. When I tell that you are good to refer any source now, at that level you can refer anything, any content from anywhere. But till then, I want you to understand, keep the points that what we are discussing in mind, so that nobody can divert or nobody can give you wrong information, or you will not get deviated, you will not get confused, you will not be in a dilemma what you are doing, what you are learning is right or wrong. Clear? So the points related to this, whatever we have listed: an organization, reporting, company point of view, country point of view, local reporting, group reporting, ledgers, currencies, financial statements. We will be understanding about these points in the tomorrow's session. Any questions you can ask now.
Sir, in the improvement phase, you have quoted one example regarding the bad debts. So can you also quote any other examples so that we can say it in the interview?
Ajay, one question I have on this, what you have explained right now.
Go ahead.
Ajay, what you explained right now, this is accounting approach, right?
Yes.
So accounting approach, you said we are assigning the multiple ledger there. Just I want to know.
Yes. Because we have written two here. One is local reporting within country. The other one is within
Okay.
corporate. So the treatment within country is different. The treatment within corporate is different. You have to, you are going to segregate your accounting based on the country specific, based on the corporate specific or group specific. So slight changes will be there, which we will be discussing in detail in the tomorrow's session.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding the
Okay.
processes, there will be different processes like bad debts. Bad debts is one of the processes I have explained. Like that, you have different processes in invoicing, payments, banks, and then your bank reconciliations, fixed asset, integrations, purchasing, sale. You have different processes. So these processes we have to understand it during the during your implementation. When you're understanding these processes as part of your initial implementation, you're going to take key business processes that are in use currently. Once the implementation is completed, when you're stabilizing the process, you are going to identify the different small gaps, because during the implementation your client will not be able to tell everything point to point, and you will not be able to understand point to point. There will be certain gaps, whatever you have discussed with your client or whatever you have implemented in the system. When you are working initially, once the project has gone live, while working you will come to know, okay, this is given wrong, or certain points they have not given. You will be fine tuning it. That is where you are calling it as you are stabilizing the system. Once the system is stabilized, we are saying that the normal business processes which are used on a daily basis are working fine without any problem, which means the client is now able to record the business transactions on their own. No major issues are raised by the users while creating a master reporting transactions. They're able to manage the basic errors. Now this is where you are going to call it as system is now stabilized. Once the system is stabilized, you need to focus on improvements. What are all the processes that we are currently using? Which process we can improve further? When you're talking about improvement further, you're automating certain things or you're minimizing the efforts that they are putting in. So these points also we will be talking once we start the configuration discussions. Okay.
Okay, Ajay, one doubt here. Like the posting, suppose I am operating in three countries. One is India. I am following India's accounting principle. Another one is US. I am following US GAAP, and for UK I am following IFRS. Okay, so these are the accounting principle which for the three country I am operating. So the posting will happen at what level? Because we are creating only one company code, right, for the India.
Correct.
Like suppose B001, only one company code. Within one company code, I am assigning three accounting principles. So that is called accounting principle. So posting will happen at how the like UK some transaction will happen, or US some transaction will happen. How the posting will happen? Ajay?
Posting will happen at country level, in short at the company code level. So based on this reporting requirement, you are going to map these points: ledgers, currencies, and then the financial statement level. Based on these settings, whatever the questions that you have asked will get clarified.
Okay.
So based on
Okay.
the requirement, like where you are operating, what is your company, are you operating only in one country or are you operating in multiple countries? If you are operating in multiple countries, how many accounting principles are you using? How many currencies are you using to generate the reports? At what level you are looking at your TB P&L balance sheet? Based on this, you are going to design the basic org structure according to the financial reporting point of view. Okay.
Okay. So which one is
Based on
advisable?
this,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Ajay.
yeah, these points, whatever I have listed in the blue, these are
Hmm.
mandatory points, and whatever we
Hmm.
have here, these are mandatory points. You must have local reporting, group reporting from the business point of view, and from SAP point of view, you must include these points. These points I will elaborate with a practical example in the tomorrow's session. That is why I've just listed the names. I've not talked much about this. We will be discussing along with practical examples in tomorrow's session, so that you will exactly
Okay.
understand what is local reporting, group reporting, what are ledgers, currencies, financial statement levels.
Okay.
Okay.
So Ajay, is it relevant to have the foundational knowledge for the theory structure at this stage before we actually go into implementation? Because it looks like just like we will have to understand the GUI interface and how it breaks down. It looks like there's that demand too in understanding theory before we go on, so that Once you begin to do the applications, we know why you are switching from one area to another.
Yes, initially it is not relevant. First, we need to make sure that we are comfortable with the GUI screen. Then we will step into Fiori slowly. Because as
Okay.
a consultant, our majority role will be on GUI, not on the Fiori. Because Fiori is exclusively used for the end users, not for the consultant. Even though you can open the complete SPRO on Fiori, that is not much user friendly. You will be more convenient, comfortable with the GUI screen only as a consultant.
Okay.
But for your project, when it comes to user manual preparation, when you prepare a user manual, you're not supposed to prepare the user manual from GUI, because the fact is your user is going to work on Fiori. You are going to prepare the user manual from the Fiori screen, not from the GUI screen. Clear?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, one topic
Hello.
is there in SAP FICO, that is segment. Sir, what is the purpose to use the segment, and what is segment reporting, sir?
That we will discuss along with these points in the tomorrow's session. Your question will be covered in this tomorrow.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, yesterday you have told that account receivable, accounts payable, asset accounting like this, the user will be restrict for accounts payable. So how that in SAP we can assign that ID and restrict that user will be post only accounts payable, accounts receivable.
Because we yesterday we talked about roles, correct? Hello.
Correct, sir.
Yeah. So when you create a roles, your roles are module specific. There will be a separate role for GL module, GL posting. Similarly, accounts payable, accounts receivable, asset accounting, taxation. For all the different sub processes within your finance, there will be a separate role. There will be a different role for creating asset. There will be a different role for posting asset transaction. There will be a different role for generating asset report. Based on the user activity, based on the user profile, user role, you will be assigning the respective role to them.
Okay.
Okay,
But
so
sir,
different.
the
Go
ID
ahead. Go ahead.
user ID, how we can in SAP, how we can mention that ID and restrict that particular person user.
In SAP, you will be creating multiple roles. Okay, for AP, AR, GL. For one user ID, you can assign multiple roles. Let's say I am a user who will be working on. Uh, let's say, for example, I am the person who is working on accounts payable. For invoice processing, for accounts payable invoice processing, I may be purchasing normal items, I may be purchasing asset also,
Yeah, correct.
right? If I'm
Yeah,
working on accounts payable, wherein my task is to create an invoice, wherein my invoice can be related to fixed asset. Now I am going to have the role related to asset, related to vendor also, which means accounts payable.
correct,
Otherwise I will have access only to record in vendor account but not in the asset account.
correct.
Okay, so in this case, you will be assigning the role which will meet the business requirement. So considering all these requirements, you will be designing the roles. It is not that initially you will design the roles and then you will map the roles according to business requirement. This is ulta. First, we
Okay,
will talk with the business client, understand their requirement, what is the org structure, what is their employee hierarchy, how many levels they have segregated the duties based on the employees. According to that, you are going to design, you are going to finalize how many roles are required. At each role, what level of restrictions you wanted to bring.
okay.
Clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
So in the improvement phase, you have quoted one example. Can you also give any other example just to say in interview?
Let's say you can say that your client is currently using automatic payment program. Okay, they
Okay.
are printing the checks. You would say that they are printing the checks, but they are printing checks manually. When we
Okay.
say that printing the check manually, normally when you receive the checks, you will be receiving checks in the checkbook format, like one check is a separate, correct?
Yes.
Let's say your client says that the cashier or the accountant who is printing the check, they have to put check one by one, which we do not want. They say
Mhm.
that we will buy a check which will have, like, you can tear that, right? You have that, there is something called dots to
Yes.
make the check into two parts. I don't know the term which is used for it. So you will buy a check like that, and then you will simply put that check bundle in the printer. The moment you click on print, if there are 40 checks in the automatic payment program, system will automatically print 40 checks one by one. 40 leaves in one go will go into the printer, come out. Once it is printed, the cashier or the accountant will print based on the check, and they will circulate to the respective vendors. You can say these points, or you can also say that the bank transfers that they are making to the vendor, let's say they are not using DME format, or they are not using any payment medium, they are preparing the payment file manually, sending to the bank. You can say that instead of this, you can use DME format or DME functionality. Or if DME functionality, if they find it is a tricky, time consuming, not user friendly, you can say that we can customize this process so that you don't need to do so many steps. By default, the moment you click on it, we will generate the file with one click. And understanding of this file and all is very simple, and the effort that we are going to take for preparing this file is also simple. You can say like this, or you can also say certain reports. Let's say you are making different payments to the vendors on a daily basis, correct? Now,
Yes.
on a particular day, your client wants to know how many cash payments we have issued in this month or yesterday. Every day I want to know, let's say today I want to know, or by end of today or tomorrow morning, I want to know how many cash payments were made yesterday, to whom this cash payment was made. Normally, you will be issuing the cash to a vendor or to an expense. Where and all my cash is spent, I want a report. Now, there may be no standard report for it. You may have to develop a report. You will tell that we will develop a simple report which will give you the clear picture of it. Similarly, check report. You may be issuing the checks every day, but today you want to know how many checks you issued yesterday and at what rate, what is the check value, what is the check value date, who is the supplier against which this check is issued. These kind of reports you can propose.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. If no questions, let me stop this recording. We will connect tomorrow at the same
Can
time.
you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, Mahesh, go ahead.
Yeah. So regarding the roles, right? You said right regarding to assign the roles or T code to someone else who is handling who is involving end user activity, right? So I've just have tell you the scenarios which have come across in my organization, right? So one of the person who is my colleague was looking for an access like T code access, which I am having, okay. So since she was not having in the past, she raised the ticket to IT to get the access, and then she worked with IT to get the access, and then she got the access. In that scenario, nowhere SAP FICO involved in that scenario to give the roles or I mean, what is that? T code access to the particular user. So I just want to know where exactly SAP FICO involved to giving the access, I mean, T code access and all, sir.
For giving any T code access, it must go through the
Mm.
respective module consultant to the basis. Point number one, the user is not supposed to raise, or the user is not supposed to reach out to the technical consultant directly in any project. Let's say you have uh, ABAP as a technical consultant, you have basis as a technical consultant, correct?
I mean, I'm not sure about these two terms
Okay,
like ABAB. Since we are from one of the organization, whenever we face any SAP related issue or something related issue, we directly raise an IT ticket. I mean, I'm not aware of these terms like ABAB
okay.
or basis and
Okay.
all,
Let
right?
me put it in a
Just
different
wanted
way. Let's say you are a user
to.
and you are requesting
Okay.
for an authorization related to a particular transaction.
Yeah.
Let's say FB03
T
or
code.
F-02, whatever the T code. Now, as a
Yeah.
user, you
Yeah.
are not aware what you will be doing. You may be having an email to which you have to send an email. You are not going to send specifically to a person, right? You will be
Yes.
having a
Yes.
common email ID to which you are going to send an email. Dear team, please provide the access for XYZ transaction code. When the email is sent,
Yeah.
since you are sending it to a common or group email ID, somebody will be monitoring that email, whatever the issues
I'll
that
put
are.
it in different way. Instead of email, I will raise a ticket. I mean, it
Okay,
through some tool. We have some tool. We in that tool we raise a ticket. It will go to IT. If I select IT, it will go to IT. Yeah.
okay.
Just go ahead, sir.
Let's say
Please.
you raised a ticket in IT. When you're raising a ticket in IT, you will have to select a different drop downs. Like this is related to authorization, any new
Yeah. Yeah.
requirement. These kind of drop downs will be
Exactly.
there. You need to select one of the drop down there.
Yes.
When you select it, based on the categories, based on the drop downs that you're selecting, it will trigger an email in the backend. It will not trigger any email.
Okay.
The person who is working in IT will also have access to the same tool where you're raising the ticket.
Okay.
Accordingly, it will fall under
Okay.
their bucket. Let's say I am working in IT and you're working in
Okay.
administration. Now, a user raised a
Yeah.
ticket in IT which is related to administration. The user has raised that in the pantry, water bottles or water is not there. So he put that, please refill the
Yeah.
water in the pantry. Instead of selecting admin, he selected IT. Now you're in admin, you don't see that somebody wants water in the admin because it is not coming in your bucket, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is flowing in my flow because somebody selected IT. What I will do, I will look at the query, dear team, please arrange water in the pantry. By looking at it, I understand that this is not related to me, this is related to admin. What I will do, I will reclassify this. Because I am working as a consultant, I will have option to reclass this. I will move it from IT to admin, then it automatically reflects in your bucket. Or I will send
Yes.
an email, dear Mahesh, please look into this below query. Now, what you are going to do, this is
Okay.
happening not from the user side, this is happening from the consulting side. Since this is not related
Yeah.
to my area, I am not supposed to tell the user, please reach out to the right person. Because user is not
Yes.
aware, that is why they would have raised it to the wrong department. Since I know this is not related to me, I should also know to whom it is related
Yes.
to the respective team. I will be forwarding it and they will reach out to the user by providing whatever the information that is needed. Now according to user, they need access for a particular transaction and it has gone to
Yes.
basis. Now basis cannot ask the user, because according to user the requirement is very clear, transaction code F-02 is required.
Yeah.
Now, which role I need to assign to provide this access to the user? As a basis, I cannot decide. As a basis, I need to get the confirmation from the FICO consultant if this is related to FI. So I will be looping in FICO consultant. This and all will happen offline. User will not be in the picture in this email communication or in this conversation. This is offline.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is within the
Okay.
consultants. So what basis consultant will do? Basis consultant will reach out to FICO consultant that this is the requirement. Please provide the role so that I will assign. So as a FICO consultant, what I will do, first of all, I will see who is the user. Okay, this user is asking me for a T code of F-02. Is this only one T code that this user wants or any other T code? Because when you create a role, roles are created in different ways. One way, when I create a role, I may not be having a role with a single transaction code. I may be having a role. If I assign a role, even though if you're asking for one T code, you will end up receiving access for 10 transactions. Because in a
Exactly.
role,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be adding multiple transaction codes.
Mul-
Now I need
Multiple
to
transactions.
check with the user or the user reporting manager. So and so requirement has come. Is this only for this particular T code or for the other T codes also? If I say that no, this user needs only this particular T code, no other authorizations. In that case, what I will do, I have to get a new role created with only that particular transaction code. You getting my point?
Okay. Yes,
And
I
that
got it, sir. Yeah.
new role will be assigned. Otherwise, if I assign the existing role, whatever you're asking, that will come along with additional authorizations will also come. As a FICO
Yes.
consultant, you need to decide. You cannot say that you asked this, we don't have this specific role, we assigned whatever is available. Then it is a consultant mistake. Tomorrow
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
goes wrong. If user is able to see different things, they might use anything, right? All these days I am working on only this. They gave me other things also. Just for checking what happens, they might execute. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
So certain things may create problems, certain things may create entries and all that we do not based on the T code. Now tomorrow if some issue happens because of that, it comes to a picture, it will come into picture like why this user is having this authorization. They will say that we requested for F-02, but if F-02 is accessed or requested, why did you give the other transactions? Now the FICO consultant is answerable for this.
Yeah. Yes.
Now consultant cannot say no, since there is no dedicated role for it, I have assigned a role wherein this access will come. Then it is consultant a mistake that he should not have given this, or he should have taken their approval. So these things will come into picture when things go wrong. If everything is fine, it is automatically fine. But you have to see if something is going wrong, how you are able to justify this.
So, Ajay, when you assign these roles, let me just follow up from there. When you assign these roles, is it by default or automatic that you have a particular T code that is given to you or authorization is given to a particular T code? And then there are some other remotely linked activities to that T code. Do they assign those remotely linked activities to you or they will stop it? For example, if you have access to a particular T code, you may also need access to the table on which that T code is stored, correct? So
Yes.
now, when you are given access to that T code, is it automatic that you are given access to the table too?
No, for the end user, we will not be giving the access to table. When you say table, you mean that retrieving the data or accessing the data to pull it. Is this what you mean?
Yes, to check if what we are doing is right.
Yeah. For that also we need to give, because as a consultant, let's say I want to post a transaction related to vendor payment. In order to give access to vendor payment, I will have to provide the access to read the vendor masters at the same time the bank master, correct?
Correct.
So vendor is your account type K, your bank is account type S. So I need to give the role in which the authorization for vendor master is provided, authorization for GL master is also provided. These points are the checklist, or these points are the mandatory to be verified as a consultant. This is our responsibility.
Okay.
So otherwise what will happen, we will add only the T code, but when user is trying to access it, he will be receiving different errors. So another error will come that you are not authorized to do this, because to complete this you may be requiring multiple access points. connecting points. Right, so those connecting points, as a FICO consultant, we need to understand, and then these points we need to include in the role. So this is something that based on our understanding we need to provide it. Otherwise, what will happen? We will say that the roles have been assigned, please check. User will tell still the same error. Then again you will tell, please send me SU53 screenshot. Again he will send, you will again work. This is happening because we are not actually understanding what exactly is the requirement. Correct? Huh? Once we get the requirement, these points wherever possible we can eliminate. Yeah. Clear it? Any other questions? All right, no questions. Then let me stop this recording. We will connect tomorrow at the same time. Okay. All right then. So
Right.
Good night, sir.
good night.
Good night.